What's up, music fans of the internet? I'm Kevin.
I'm Derek.
And together we are last week's album, The Only Reviews, with two different views. And in this episode, we're talking about the new album by Sturgill Simpson called A Sailor's Guide to Earth, and exploring the question on this album: how does Sturgill navigate country and soul? So let's get into it. Cheers, Derek, and everyone at home.
Cheers, Kevin, everyone at home.
Sturgill Simpson, in case you haven't heard of him, is hailed as the savior of country music. He's made two well-received albums: his Cosmic Country, Meta-Modern Sounds in Country Music, and the more classic country, High Top Mountain. This, A Sailor's Guide to Earth, is his third album. It's more of a concept album, sort of a letter to his newborn son, and he actually enlists the help of the Dap Kings to bring a lot of soul sounds. This was self-produced by him instead of working with the usual producer, Dave Cobb. Let's talk about what it sounds like. Derek, what do you think?
Well, Kevin, despite that last tidbit about the Dap Kings, I still think A Sailor's Guide to Earth sounds like Sturgill Simpson hijacked Matthew E. White's horn section to play James Brown-inspired soul anthems, while at times sounding like your dad.
I wish my dad could sing like Sturgill. That would be great. Sorry, Dad. I think this sounds like the late, great Merle Haggard gets a case of the Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats.
Yes, I like that. I like that.
Let's talk about some highlights from the album. Derek, what did you think worked the best?
Tracks that stood out to me were Sea Stories, In Bloom, and Call to Arms. Sea Stories was this classic country boot tap and sounds, lively strummed acoustic guitar, dancing organ in the background, a breezy electric guitar as well. A great story about life on the seas, two-step and beat along a list of exotic Southeast Asian ports of call, and some really good lines here. One I really liked: seen damn near the whole damn world from the inside of a bar. So it lets you know how Sturgill gets down when he's sailing. In Bloom, it opened with pedal steel murmurs. Those ushered in a soft swaying beat. A familiar vocal melody takes shape, and as the first chorus ends, it hits you. Is this a cover? Is this a Nirvana cover? Yes! This one originally appeared on 1991's Nevermind, but I really liked how Sturgill Simpson put his own imprint on here. Strings in the bridge and horns entering for the reprise of the chorus to close, I thought were great. And again, I think this just shows Sturgill is doing a great job when he does covers a song, going back to The Promise on the last album. Call to Arms was this barn burner of a closing track. There was pounding piano, blues-style horn section, a riotous organ riff, and at the end, the lead trumpet player just goes absolutely nuts. And before that happens, nearly every instrument drops out towards the end before slowly coming up for the final jam out. And it's kind of reminiscent of a little Otis Redding, a little bit softer now, if you will. So I just thought it was a great way to close an album.
Well, enough about your highlights, Derek. Let me start with mine. Keep It Between the Lines, Brace for Impact, Live a Little, and Oh Sarah. Keep It Between the Lines. I love the chant at the start of this song. I actually wish that it went on longer. There's this blazing guitar that comes through really strongly amidst a lot of blaring brass. And then also amidst some kind of cliche advice, Sturgill delivers some really gut-punching lines. For example, most thoughts deserve about 2 or 3 more, or the only word you'll ever need to know in life is why. And just some great sage advice for his son, who he wrote this album for. And also, just sonically, a great mix of honky-tonk and brass funk. And then on Brace for Impact, Live a Little, it's got this sort of rocking country groove that proves, he doesn't need the horns or the brass section on every song here. It's got revving guitar, soulful organ, popping drums. And here he backs off the more cautionary advice to remind his son to live a little and make the most of his time on Earth. And then there's a really nice jam out at the end that calls to mind the sort of psychedelic touches we heard on his last album, Meta-Modern Sounds in Country Music. And then finally, Oh Sarah. This is actually a reworked song from his days fronting the band Sunday Valley before he went solo. And hearing it now, it's almost like a rededication of vows to his wife. It's a powerful ballad of emotional vocals and pensive strings. He says, "Forgive me if sometimes I seem a little crazy, but goddamn, sometimes crazy is how I feel." And I think it proves Sturgill can slow things down and still keep you captivated.
That is a very valid ballad.
All right, let's talk about lowlights. Was there anything you didn't think worked well, Derek?
Maybe that there was only 9 songs. This all seemed very thought out. And so it's hard to find any lowlight there for me.
Yeah, if you put a gun to my head, I would say that it could be a little too personal. Very direct lyrics written from him to his son. So there's not always that room for imagination to sort of impart your own meaning on the lyrics. There's a big metaphor here between like going off at sea as the sailor, just like he's doing when he's touring on the road. So it kind of works as a metaphor, but I think at times it was a little too personal.
I think that kind of goes back to, it sounds like your dad singing to you, It wears on you after a while.
Dad, I get it.
I'll mow the lawn, Dad. Just leave me alone.
I won't do drugs, Dad, I promise.
I'll keep it between the lines. I won't hang out with Johnny Manziel, Dad. I won't do it.
Well, let's get to the overall rating and answering the big question: how does Sturgill navigate the waters of country and soul? Derek, what do you think?
Kevin, answer the big question. How does he navigate those waters? Very well. Things I really liked here was the whole idea of the cohesive message or story throughout the album. Concept albums, correct me if I'm wrong, but that might be kind of a new concept for country music. This has been a space kind of occupied by rock bands. I really appreciate the ambition to even tackle this type subject and just stay the course, if you will, throughout the album. Other things I really like, the broader instrumentation. The horns I thought were fantastic, really added a more powerful punch to his sound. And I didn't think it really swayed him from his country leanings. It just really helped him build better, bigger sounding songs to kind of help drive home some of the points he was making in the lyrics. So overall, I thought this was really strong effort again. Sturgill's, not going easy anymore after the success he's found. So I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5.
Right on. We'll agree for the most part. I think, how does he navigate the waters of country and soul? I think he blends the two really well. The concept album this day and age is incredibly refreshing. I think it also serves a larger artistic vision of music as an art form instead of conforming to modern culture's need for singles and sound bites. I think the sounds, while I mentioned maybe a little too personal and also a little self-indulgent at times. On my first few listens, all I sort of heard were those new elements of funk and soul. But after some time with the album, the country and the rock roots really come through loud and clear. So another great album from Sturgill Simpson. I'm going to give this one, I don't know if I should give it a 4 or 5. Fuck it. I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5. That makes a combined 10 out of 10 for A Sailor's Guide to Earth by Sturgill Simpson. So definitely check this one out and let us know what you guys think about it. And don't forget to subscribe to us here at Last Week's Album, either on the YouTube channel or the podcast. And we are Last Week's Album, the only reviews with 2 different views. As always, I'm Kevin.
Rob, Derek.
Cheers, guys. We'll see you next time.